The truth is, every paid acquisition funnel has a handful of moments where a prospect is one click away from leaving forever. And most businesses can't even tell you where those moments are. They'll just usually say, our ads aren't working. But when you actually look deeper, the issue is the system around the ads. The landing page isn't clear, the offer isn't positioned properly, the follow-up is weak, and the CRM is super messy. This is exactly what we help high-ticket businesses fix. We don't just turn on ads and hope something works. We build a full client acquisition system around the ads so that the right people don't just click, they understand the offer, trust the business, book the call, show up prepared, and are far more ready to buy. So in this video, I'm going to break down the 5 key decision points inside a paid acquisition funnel. And once you understand these, you'll start seeing why most businesses don't have an ad problem, they have a system problem. So let's get into it. The first decision point is the one most businesses think they've already solved, but it's usually the reason a lot of their ad spend gets wasted before the prospect even reaches the landing page. Let's get into decision 1. Do I trust this person enough to even click? Right now, trust is super low, especially in the coaching, consulting, and high-ticket service space. Your prospects have seen hundreds of ads. They've heard the same promises. They've been told they can scale overnight, fix everything with one funnel, or magically turn cold traffic into buyers with one simple hack. So when your ad shows up, they're watching it with skepticism. They might even be asking, is this relevant to me? Is this just another generic marketing claim? Does this person understand my problem? Or is this even worth my time? That means your ad has to do more than just grab attention. It has to build trust quickly. And this is where a lot of businesses get it wrong. They run the same 1 or 2 ads for months with the same messaging, the same hook, the same angle, and wonder why performance drops. But your audience is not one single group of people that all think the exact same thing. Some of them are frustrated because they've tried paid ads before and only got cheap, low-quality leads. Some of them are tired of relying on referrals and word of mouth. Some are getting leads, but the leads don't show up. Some people are getting calls, but the calls don't close. Some know their offer is strong, but they don't have a predictable way of getting qualified prospects into their pipeline. And each of those people need to hear a slightly different message. I'm talking about different angles, different hooks, different emotional states, different problems, and catering towards different levels of awareness. At Nexus Media, we look at the ad as the first part of the acquisition system. The job of the ad is not just to get cheap clicks. The job of the ad is to attract the right person, filter out the wrong person, and build enough trust for someone to take the next step and set up the rest of the funnel properly. That means your ad needs to speak to the real problem, not just get more views, get more clicks. Because most high-ticket businesses don't need more leads. They need better leads, qualified calls, people who understand the offer. And most importantly, they need prospects who are actually in a position to buy. With that said, your cold ad structure matters. You need a strong opening, one that speaks to a specific pain. You need to build context, so the prospect feels understood. You need to show them why the thing they've been blaming might not even be the real issue. You need to also present the mechanisms behind the solution, and you need to explain why your approach is different. You need to stack enough credibility so they don't feel like they're taking a blind risk. And then you need to give them a clear next step. But the ad alone is not the whole trust equation. Because after they see your ad, they might look at your website, they might search you on LinkedIn, they might search your name in Google, and they might look for proof, content, case studies, or signs that you're actually legitimate. So your overall online presence matters as well. Your ads, landing page, content, website, social profiles, and follow-ups all work together. Because the prospect is constantly asking the question, do I trust this enough to keep going? Now, getting someone to trust you enough to click is only the first step, because the next decision point is where a lot of funnels fall apart, and it silently kills your cost per qualified call. Now for decision 2. Is this actually for my specific situation? This is where message match becomes critical. Whatever pain, promise, or angle your ad led with, the landing page has to continue that same conversation. If your ad speaks to coaches who are getting booked calls but poor show rates, but your landing page is a generic agency page listing every single service you offer, there's a disconnect, and confusion kills conversation. The prospect clicked because something specific caught their attention. So the landing page needs to make them feel like, yes, this is exactly what I was just thinking about. This is exactly what I need. That's why sending every prospect to a generic website or homepage usually performs badly. A homepage has too many jobs. A landing page has one job. It should continue the conversation, sharpen the problem, and explain the mechanism, while at the same time moving the right person forward towards the next step. This is also why strategy before execution matters. Before you write the ads, build the landing page, or script the VSL, you need to understand the business properly. You need to know the avatar, you need to know the offer, you need to know the sales process. I would even say you need to look into the past campaigns that have been run. You need to know what kind of leads are currently coming in. And most importantly, you need to know where the funnel is leaking. You need to know why people buy, why they don't buy, and what they need to believe before they book a call. That's what shapes the creative brief. A proper creative brief should include the ICP, the core pains, the core desires, the different messaging angles, the offer positioning, the objection map, the proof points, the tone, the sales, the process, and the key conversation bottlenecks. Because without that, you're pretty much just guessing with some money in your pocket. And once that strategy is clear, the landing page becomes much easier to build. For Nexus Media, the landing page needs to do a few important things. First, it needs to call out a specific problem. Not just you need more leads, but something more accurate like, okay, you're spending money on ads, but the system behind the ads isn't turning attention into qualified sales calls. Then it needs to show the cost of the problem. Poor leads, no-shows, slow follow-ups, messy CRM, weak qualification, no attribution, and book calls with people who are never the right fit to begin with. Then it needs to introduce the real situation, not more ads, not a prettier website, not another problem campaign, a complete paid acquisition system. That means the avatar, the platform, the offer, the landing page, the VSL, the qualification, the CRM, etc. All of these components need to work together. This is where the VSL becomes important, because the VSL should not just explain what you do, it should educate the prospect into seeing the problem differently. By the time they finish watching, they should understand why their current approach isn't working. They should also understand what needs to be changed and why the system you build is the logical next step. The point of a strong VSL is to pre-sell. It doesn't just inform, it makes the prospect feel understood, as well as handle the main objections before the call. It also explains the mechanism. It shows the cost of staying where they are, and it positions the call as the next logical step, rather than a random sales pitch. By the time someone finishes watching the VSL, they should already be far more educated and far more bought in before they even speak to you. By the way, if you want help finding where your current acquisition system is leaking, click the first link in the description and book a Missed Revenue Audit with us. We'll look at your ads, your landing page, your offer, your funnel, your follow-ups, your tracking, and show you where the prospects are dropping off before they become qualified sales calls. Okay, so at this point, someone trusts you enough to click, your landing page has continued the right conversation, and your VSL helped them understand the problem as well as the solution. But the next decision point is often where warm prospects talk themselves out of taking action. This is decision 3. Should I book a call now or should I come back later? This is a massive point, because when someone leaves your funnel without booking, you can't just assume they'll come back later. Most of the time, I promise you, they won't. They'll get distracted, they'll compare other options, they'll put it off, they'll go back to doing what they were already doing. So the job of the funnel is to make the next step feel clear, valuable, and worth taking now. Not through fake urgency, not through pressure, but through clarity. A lot of high-ticket businesses make the mistake of over-explaining their offer in the wrong way. They list deliverables like a grocery receipt, meta ads, landing page, CRM, emails, tracking, reports, strategy calls. But some prospects don't buy deliverables. They buy outcomes. They buy a cleaner path to qualified leads. They buy fewer wasted sales calls. They buy a system that helps them stop relying on referrals. So your offer needs to be positioned around the transformation and not just the components. For example, at Nexus Media, the offer is not we just run your ads. The offer is we build an acquisition system that turns paid traffic into qualified sales calls for high-ticket businesses. That includes the avatar research, platform strategy, offer positioning, landing page, VSL, qualification flow, CRM, follow-up tracking, and ongoing optimization as well. The reason this matters is because paid ads expose everything. If the offer is weak, ads expose it. If the landing page is weak, if the landing page is confusing, ads expose it. If the follow-up is slow, ads expose it. If the CRM is messy, ads expose it. So the solution has to be bigger than just launching campaigns. It has to fix the system. This is also why capturing contact information before the final booking step matters. If someone starts the application but doesn't finish, you don't want to just lose them forever. You want a way to follow up. You want to understand where they dropped off. You want the CRM to capture that lead and trigger the right next step. Because not every qualified prospect will book immediately. Some need a little reminder. Some need more trust. Some need to see another piece of content. Some might even need a personal message. And if your system doesn't capture that, you're leaving a lot of money on the table. Now here's where it gets interesting. Most people think that once someone books a call, the hard part is over. But the next decision point is one of the most overlooked parts of the entire funnel, and it quietly destroys show rates and close rates at the same time. That brings me to decision 4. Did I make the right decision booking this call? The second someone books a call, they start evaluating whether or not they made the right decision. They think of all the other sales calls they've been on, the ones that wasted their time, the ones where someone just pitched them for 45 minutes, the one where the person didn't understand their business at all. So even though they booked, they're not fully committed yet. This is where most businesses do almost nothing. They send a generic confirmation email, maybe a calendar reminder, maybe a basic thank you page, and that's it. But this is one of the most important windows in the entire funnel, because the prospect has just taken action. They're paying attention, they're emotionally engaged, they're looking for reassurance that this was a smart move. So your confirmation page should not be an afterthought. It should reinforce the decisions they've just made. It should explain what happens next. It should also answer the questions they've probably been thinking. This is why FAQ videos are so useful. You can answer the exact objections that usually come up on sales calls. Questions like, what will we actually cover on the call? What will work for my niche? What if I've already tried paid ads before? Or what if I'm bad on camera? These videos do a lot of the heavy lifting before the call. They reduce uncertainty, they build familiarity, they educate the prospect, they make the sales conversation smoother. And as a bonus, they help the prospect show up with more trust. Personal outreach also matters. When someone books a real person, they should reach out quickly, not with robotic reminders, but with a simple message confirming the call. Introduce yourself. Make the prospect feel like they're not just another lead in a pipeline. Then your pre-call follow-up should continue building trust. Emails, SMS, WhatsApp. The goal is to reinforce the decision, prepare them for the call, and help them understand the value of showing up. Each touch point should have a purpose. One might explain what will happen on the call. One might educate them on why ads alone don't fix acquisition. One might show them what a proper funnel should include. One might handle the fear of wasting time. That way, by the time the call arrives, they don't feel like they've just walked into a random pitch. They feel like they're continuing a conversation that they already understand. And that brings us to the final decision point. This is one of the most expensive things to get wrong, because if you lose someone here, you've already paid for the click, the landing page visit, the VSL view, the application, and the booking. And if they don't show up, all of that effort just disappears. That brings me to decision 5. Am I actually going to show up ready to buy? This is where the whole system either compounds or collapses. When there's no proper system, show rates suffer, call quality suffers, close rate suffers, and the business ends up blaming the ads. But the ads were only a small piece of the journey. The real question is, did the funnel build enough trust for the prospect to show up? Did the landing page make the problem clear? Did the VSL educate them properly? Did the application qualify them correctly? Did the confirmation page reinforce the decision? Did the follow-up sequence prepare them properly? Did the CRM make sure no one slipped through the cracks? Did the sales team know who they were speaking to and what that person actually cared about? When all of this is working, the sales call feels completely different. It's no longer a cold conversation where you have to convince someone from zero. It becomes a diagnostic conversation. The prospect already understands the problem. They already see why their current approach is leaking. They already understand the situation is not just more ads. They now understand that they need a proper acquisition system. So instead of spending the call trying to create demand, you can spend the call diagnosing whether they're actually a good fit. That's the difference. Most businesses are trying to fix one isolated piece. They think we need better ads, or we need a better landing page, or we need more leads. But most acquisition problems are system problems. The ad account is one piece, the landing page is one piece, the offer is one piece, the CRM, the follow-ups, the sales process, all of those are individual pieces. And if those pieces are broken, everything downstream gets affected. That's why at Nexus Media, we look at the full journey from the first ad impressions all the way to the sales call. Because when the system works, ad spend goes in one end and qualified, educated, pre-sold prospects come out on the other end. And they come out ready for a real conversation. So, those are the 5 decision points where most paid acquisition funnels are leaking money. And now hopefully, you know what to look for in yours. The prospect has to decide. Do I trust this enough to click? Is this actually meant for my specific situation? Should I book a call now or come back later? And did I make the right decision booking this call? If any one of those moments is weak, your funnel leaks. And if you're only looking at the ads, you'll probably miss the real problem. That's why we build the full acquisition system and ongoing optimization. Because profitable client acquisition is not about guessing with a bit of money. It's about building an entire system that turns attention into qualified sales calls. Like I said earlier, if you want us to help you find where your current funnel is leaking, click the first link in the description and book an audit. We'll show you what needs to change, we'll show you what's broken, what needs to change, and what the next version of your lead flow should actually look like. As always, thank you for watching, and we'll catch you in the next one.